Hello, welcome back to our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript series. In the past 4 videos, we're building a website from scratch and then running it on a live server. And I had a thought. Since this website is on the live server, only me can see it because the live server is on my computer. For example, if I click go live here, it's going to open, right? It's going to open on a live server on this IP address that is inbuilt within VS Code. So VS Code is going to generate an IP address, which will be this, and we'll be listening to port 5500. And this is how this website can go onto the browser. But it's only me that can see it. Anyone else out there in the world cannot see it. And so I thought about making this bonus lecture tutorial, to teach you how you can make this website accessible by everyone. So we need to host this website on the internet so that anyone else can access it wherever they are. And for that, we are going to use GitHub Pages. So we are going to use GitHub to host our website, Mandela's website, on the internet. And so wherever I would finish coding, I would post my code onto GitHub. Yes. So this is the source code of our project, of our web project of Nelson Mandela. And I want to make this website accessible to anyone around the world. So what we are going to do is we are going to use GitHub Pages. GitHub has a functionality called GitHub Pages that is used to host websites on GitHub free of charge. We don't have to buy a domain name. We just put it on GitHub and then do some simple settings, and then our website will be online. Before we get started setting it up, let's go back to our repo. I want to rename it. And for that, I'll just click on it here. And then I'll go to settings, and then I'll rename it. Let's rename it to Nelson Mandela. Case. Right. So I've renamed the repo to Nelson Mandela. And just to remind you, all the source code is within, is on the master branch, right? So as you can see, photos, index.html, index.js, style, CSS are exactly what we have here in VS Code. So I posted my code to VS Code. Okay. So I'm going to stop running at this port so that I can now close it. Since we are going to put it online, we want to access it through the internet and not through VS Code, not through the live server on VS Code. Okay. So after renaming my my repo, which has the source code, I'll go to settings, and then we shall go to pages. And when you get to pages, we want to deploy our source code that is on the master branch. So we shall select master, and then we shall leave the root here, as it is here, the root folder or docs. The root folder really means the topmost folder in our organization. So in this case, it will be the Nelson Mandela folder, the topmost folder that contains all our source code. So that is what the root folder is. So I'll leave it at that. And then I will click. After doing that, I'll just save here. All right. So after saving, I'm going to give it a few minutes, right? So it's going to deploy automatically after saving. To check, I can refresh and see it's not yet. Okay, we're gonna give it a few minutes. Awesome. So now our site has been deployed at this URL, Universal Resource Locator. That's the full name for URL. So this is our link for our website. And if I decide to open it in a new tab, we should see it here, right? Nelson Mandela. Okay. So now our website is on the internet. If you want anyone to access this page, what you just do is you'll copy this and put it maybe on your social media, put it on, send it to someone in an email, or put it on another site where they can just click that link and they'll go straight onto your website. So now the Nelson Mandela biography is online, it's on the internet. And for us to test that, I can just copy this URL. Let me just go to another browser, maybe Mozilla, right? Assuming I'm somewhere else in another country and I want to access it. I've gotten it from maybe social media or someone else. So just put here and then I'll click. And there it is. We shall see Nelson Mandela. Yep. So with that, we have hosted our page, our web page on the internet. Anyone can access it. And as you can see, GitHub, cleancode.github.io. This is going to be our base, right? And then Nelson Mandela, which is the name of our GitHub repo, and then /. So one thing that I would want to point out, if I had, let me say in my source code, if I go back to my master branch, if I had more than one HTML file in my source code, I would have, and I want it to be, let me say the home page. When someone clicks on my website, I would have to put, after the /, I would have to indicate that source file. But if it is index.html, it will automatically open the index.html. For example, even though I did this index.html, okay, creates an error because, okay, there's a small typo. Index.html to automatically open the Nelson Mandela page, okay? So if I had, let me say another HTML page, let me say maybe mandela.html, and I want to access that file first, then I would have to put / mandela.html. But it is recommended and it is advised that always you put your entry file to be as one. You have one HTML entry file in your website where all the other stuff in your code connects to, like we did here in our source code. You know, we have HTML file and we've linked our JavaScript file index.js and styles.css. So it's always better to have one entry file and have all the rest of the files within your app or your website linked to one entry file. And so with that, we have our website up online running. If we scroll through or go to the bottom, you can see show photos, hide photos, show photos, change background to orange, change to yellow, reset background. All our functionality is working well. It's working perfectly. And if I decided to, let me say someone else out there in the world wants to access it from a different browser, Microsoft Edge, come here, paste, yeah, and he'll be with it. So it's accessible from everywhere, any browser. It's now online. Yeah, so that is how you host a website on the internet. We are taking advantage of GitHub to host our website on GitHub Pages. Yeah, there are other ways you can host a website. You can use a custom domain, but for the sake of this video, that is out of scope, but it is not complicated. All you would have to do is to buy a domain name from a domain registrar, register the IP addresses of your website, of your hosted website. For example, for this one, I would use a website called DNS lookup and then get the IP addresses for my deployed website and then register them with the domain registrar under a domain name, buy it, and then I would come here, paste it in here and save. And once it is saved, someone would just access my website using that domain name, maybe www.nelsonmandela.com, supposing that Nelson Mandela name is not yet taken, the domain name. So you can use any kind of domain name. But for the sake of this lecture, we shall end here. What is important, we have a website running. And yeah, we've done it. If you've been watching this series from the start, from the first video up to this one, thank you very much. If you started along the way, still thank you. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.